The New York State Supreme Court pulsed with tension on Friday, June 6, 2025. This wasn't just about Sean "Diddy" Combs' future. It was a devastating day of reckoning for a mother's shattered heart. All eyes fixed on Janice Combs in the front row, quietly bearing the weight of a crumbling empire. Her face was etched with worry and unwavering maternal devotion. She'd watched her son reach unimaginable heights, but today she saw him teetering on an abyss she too hovered over. Her pain was the profound anguish of a mother witnessing the child she'd fully trusted now standing on the precipice of ruin. Across the courtroom, Diddy sat rigid, his usual defiance replaced by a stillness betraying inner chaos. Janice gazed at him, her heart clenching, desperate for a flicker of hope in his eyes. As Judge Eris Thorne entered, a suffocating silence enveloped the room, tightening around Janice's chest. The judge's dispassionate voice then cut through the quiet, announcing the verdict. He paused, an agonizing eternity. Janice swayed, her vision blurring with fear, her strength failing as hope evaporated. She heard her own pounding heart echoing a grim, nearing fate. Then, Judge Thorne delivered the shattering words. The court finds the defendant, Sean John Combs, guilty on all counts of racketeering, sex trafficking, and sexual assault. A collective gasp tore through the room. Before he could speak the sentence, a sharp, guttural cry ripped through the stillness. A mother's anguish. No! The courtroom's collective gaze immediately fixed on Janice Combs. Her eyes, dilated and vacant, seemed to pierce through the present, absorbing a devastating truth. A sudden rigidity seized her. Then she collapsed onto the gleaming floor, a quiet testament to a world irrevocably shattered. Her eyes rolled back, a barely audible whimper escaping her deepest pain. "Medic!" A court officer's shortcut through the sudden silence, unleashing pandemonium. Diddy, his face a canvas of disbelief and anguish, strained against his legal team, his eyes transfixed on his mother's limp figure. The weight of the verdict, the total collapse of his reality, felt like a visceral punch. Seeing his mother, his unwavering support, splayed lifelessly on the cold tiles, inflicted a torment far more acute than any legal decree. The judgment had been rendered, its finality undeniable. But the true unraveling of Sean Combs' existence had just begun, and Janice Combs was the most heart-wrenching witness to its start. The path to this shattering moment had been long and winding, paved with dazzling, almost blinding triumphs, yet obscured by the haunting whispers of depravity. To truly grasp the horror of this collapse, one must delve into the very fabric of Sean Combs' ascent, a journey that Janice Combs had watched unfold from its earliest days with boundless pride and shimmering hope. She had seen her son with his unyielding will, immeasurable ambition, and innate talent that tore through every limit, rise from nothing, from humble beginnings, to build a colossal music empire, a true American dream made manifest. In the early 2000s, Diddy, then known as P. Diddy, stood at the zenith of power and influence, surrounded by an aura that commanded universal admiration. His opulent white parties at his sprawling Hamptons and Miami estates were not just legendary but mythical gatherings of power, money, and boundless ambition, a symbol of unparalleled success. Janice Combs, though she could never have fully comprehended all that truly transpired behind the closed doors of those lavish parties, always held an unwavering faith in the brilliant aura her son projected. An aura she believed was the culmination of genuine talent and relentless effort. She dismissed the smallest doubts, clinging fiercely to the radiant image her son had meticulously crafted, an image that had become her greatest comfort and profoundest source of pride. One such infamous gathering took place on August 15, 2002, at his Star Island mansion in Miami. Among the glittering constellation of A-list stars and powerful figures was a young rising actress, Serafina Vance. She was radiantly beautiful, exuding an ethereal grace, yet she was still too naive, navigating the treacherous waters of sudden fame. Diddy, ever the shrewd and calculating manipulator, immediately set his sights on Serafina, seeing in her not just a beautiful woman, but a valuable asset to exploit, a fresh prey. He approached her by the pool, his voice a soft, seductive murmur, promising access to worlds she could only dream of, an irresistible invitation. He offered a specially mixed cocktail, sparkling with exotic fruits, an offering laced with a subtle intoxicant, a sweet, perilous trap. Later that night, as the party began to wind down, Diddy invited Serafina and a few other young, impressionable individuals to a more private gathering in a secluded wing of the mansion, hidden from prying eyes. The atmosphere shifted from vibrant revelry to something far more sinister and ultimately terrifying. Equally tragic and shocking was the story of Elias Echo Hayes, a prodigious young music producer who sought Diddy's mentorship in mid-2007. Echo idolized Diddy, seeing him as a deity in the realm of sound, a flawless role model. He arrived at Diddy's sprawling New York recording studio on July 23, 2007, expecting a major career milestone, a fresh start for a brilliant future. But what he found was a different kind of empire, one built on decadence and ruthless, unyielding exploitation. Janice Combs, meanwhile, was often present, a quiet observer in the periphery of her son's chaotic life. She might have noticed the subtle shift in the studio's atmosphere, the hushed conversations, or the unnerving procession of young hopefuls. Diddy began to pressure Echo into engaging in depraved acts, offering him a special drink prepared just for him, a sedative for his conscience. The drink was laced with something so potent it blurred the lines of his perception, brutally stripping him of his autonomy and will. Over the next few weeks, Echo found himself trapped in a cycle of dependency and exploitation, an inescapable spiral. Janice Combs's maternal instincts, a dull ache beneath the surface, may have picked up on the vague whispers, the shadows clinging to her son's dealings, hints of impropriety she couldn't quite place. The whispers about Diddy had steadily grown louder, transforming into undeniable shouts that ripped through the night of silence. The Dam of Silence, meticulously constructed by Diddy with his immense power and influence, had begun to crack irrevocably, revealing the horrors beneath. Janice Combs had lived with the persistent rumors about her son for years, but she had always striven to fiercely protect his image in her heart, believing him to be a good man, her source of pride. The painful turning point arrived in November 2023, with the filing of the first major civil lawsuit, a lightning bolt striking her false sense of peace. Cassandra Cassie Ventura, a talented singer and actress, bravely stepped forward, breaking the silence with extraordinary courage, becoming a beacon of truth. Her lawsuit, filed on November 16, 2023, detailed heartbreaking and horrifying allegations of sexual assault, physical violence, and sex trafficking, details that sent shivers down the spine. As the headline screamed, "Cassie sues Diddy," Janice's mind was instantly thrown back to the early 2000s. She saw Cassie as a young woman, vibrant and full of promise, often at Diddy's side. Janice remembered moments, fleeting glimpses, Cassie's quiet demeanor after a loud argument, the way she sometimes flinched at Diddy's sudden movements, or the strange smiles she wore at public events. No, that's just a mother's overthinking, she would tell herself, trying to push away the unsettling recollections. He was a demanding boss, yes, but never that. Cassie's courage ignited an uncontrollable wildfire, a spark that caught into a truth-fueled conflagration, consuming everything in its path. Her story powerfully resonated with countless others who had suffered in silence for too long, finally finding their voice. Janice Combs followed the news with a heart as heavy as stone, trying desperately to reassure herself that these were merely false accusations, a conspiracy to bring her son down, a dreadful scenario she refused to believe. The initial shock was swiftly followed by a cascade of other accusers, like a rising tide sweeping away all denial. On February 27, 2024, a federal lawsuit filed by Rodney Lil Rod Jones, Diddy's former producer, exploded onto the scene, causing no less public uproar. His detailed testimony described widespread sexual misconduct, illicit drug use, and an alleged pattern of coerced sexual acts, all chillingly cold. This time, as Lil Rod's name dominated the news, Janice's memory conjured images of the bustling studio environment. She recalled Lil Rod, a seemingly eager, earnest young man, always working, always present. She remembered the late nights, the constant stream of people coming and going, the distinct smell of marijuana that often permeated the air, which she had always dismissed as just part of the music world lifestyle. The legal news tightened significantly on March 25, 2024. In a shocking and widely publicized development, federal agents from Homeland Security Investigations, HSI, executed search warrants on Diddy's lavish properties in Los Angeles and Miami, a clear escalation of the investigation, signaling an inevitable end was drawing near. Janice Combs watched these images broadcast live on major news channels, witnessing her son's home being raided, feeling her entire world, which she had built and believed in, crumbling completely before her eyes, losing all semblance of stability. The trial commenced on May 15, 2025, a date etched into the collective consciousness. For Janice Combs, this was an excruciating ordeal. Every day she attended court, each piece of evidence presented chipping away at a fragile hope. The New York State Supreme Court transformed into a fortress, a symbol of immense pressure and public scrutiny, with unprecedented security measures. The prosecution, led by Assistant District Attorney Evelyn Reed, presented a devastating case. Her opening statement, delivered on May 15, 2025, was a masterclass in painstaking detail, weaving Diddy's alleged crimes into a coherent, horrifying narrative. Janice Combs listened, each word a spear through her soul, instilling deep dread. Janice Combs felt her breath catch. Exploitation? Trap? Silence? The words echoed, forcing her to recall fleeting moments over the years. A young artist looking unnervingly pale after a late-night session, a quick, hushed argument she'd overheard between Diddy and an assistant, brushed off as just business. She'd always pushed such thoughts aside, but now they clawed at the edges of her denial. Serafina Vance, her initial youthful radiance now tinged with steely resolve, took the witness stand on May 20, 2025. Her voice, though trembling, cut through the tense silence as she recounted the details of the Miami party. As Serafina's words, "It was about control," echoed, Janice's mind reeled. She remembered Diddy's intense need for absolute command, even in small family matters. His insistence on knowing everyone's whereabouts, his sudden shifts in mood if his authority was questioned. She'd always seen it as strength, leadership. Now, a chilling possibility dawned. What if that drive for control extended far beyond business, into the personal lives of those around him? The thought was a cold, alien presence in her mind, a terrible reality she could no longer deny. She squeezed her eyes shut for a moment, trying to shake the encroaching images of her son as a predator, but they clung relentlessly. Friday, June 6, 2025. Judgment Day arrived with palpable finality. The courtroom was thick with stillness, every second an agony for Janice Combs. At 9:45 a.m. all eyes fixed on Judge Eris Thorne, his face impassive as he declared, "The jury has reached a verdict on all counts." On the count of racketeering, Judge Thorne's voice resonated. "We, the jury, find the defendant, Sean John Combs, guilty." Murmurs spread. Diddy's jaw clenched. "On the count of sex trafficking," the judge continued, "we, the jury, find the defendant, Sean John Combs, guilty." A louder gasp erupted. Janice visibly flinched, her body swaying. "And finally," Judge Thorne announced, "on the count of sexual assault, we, the jury, find the defendant, Sean John Combs, guilty." The word guilty hung in the air, a hammer blow shattering Diddy's facade. A collective roar of "yes!" and sighs of relief erupted from the gallery. Then a sharp cry ripped through the noise. "No, my son, no!" All heads turned to Janice Combs. Her eyes, wide and unfocused, stared ahead, seeing nothing, yet comprehending everything. Her face contorted in anguish, hands flying to her chest. Her body stiffened, then crumpled to the polished floor with a soft thud. Chaos erupted. "Mother!" Diddy's guttural cry of anguish pierced the din as he lunged forward, hands reaching for his fallen mother. Two federal marshals, anticipating his move, immediately intercepted him, holding him back. Medical personnel rushed to Janice's side, erecting a privacy screen. Judge Thorne pounded his gavel. "Order! The courtroom will be cleared. We will reconvene at 1:00 p.m. EST for sentencing." As the room emptied, Diddy remained held tightly, his gaze never leaving the white screen obscuring his mother. His empire had fallen. The weight of his crimes and years of unchecked power culminated in this agonizing moment. Diddy's fall was more than just a career's end. It was a profound societal event, exposing systemic rot that had prioritized celebrity over justice. It served as a chilling reminder that accountability eventually prevails. The echoes of his crimes will reverberate for years, a cautionary tale, and Janice Combs' immeasurable pain stands as a poignant testament to a mother's burden witnessing her child's ruin.